Yeah, so to answer that, let's start with how the de-risking strategy started, right? The COVID pandemic and the Russian invasion of Ukraine have alerted us to the fact that we need to do something about our vulnerability when it comes to reliance on China. And there has been great fervor in that respect, but it has been uncoordinated. De-risking, what does that mean? It's an ambiguous term. We don't know what it is. That may be a good thing because it allows us for flexibility. We can try different approaches, but also there is a problem with not having a plan, a strategy, and concrete pathway towards achieving what we want to achieve. So what's been doing so far is that companies have been moving part of the production out of China to friendly nations. But it's been always only the thin layer of production that it looks good on a paper. We've moved things there, and then exports look better on a paper. But actually, when you drill deep down, you see all that production has been moved outside of China, still depending on inputs from China. So we did not de-risk properly. What I argue is we're de-risking on the cheap, which again goes back to European thinking of having a cheap resources, natural resources from Russia, cheap production in China, cheap defense from the United States. So we are still in the old ways of thinking of how to do things cheaply. We need to think about it more conceptually, devote more resources, also fiscal resources, right? Europe does have the global gateway, but half of the money has been earmarked for Africa. It doesn't go to Asia. We need to create clusters of production in countries like India and Vietnam, where we can improve infrastructure, where we can create economies of scale, so the companies are actually able to compete with China in terms of productivity, in terms of cost, price, etc. We are not doing there, so that is one thing, supporting that in terms of fiscal. But the other thing is also talking to the companies and telling them things that we need to do are something like redundancies, right? Having two manufacturing plants instead of one. I know it's more expensive, but if we want to de-risk, if we want to decrease our dependency, that is one way of doing it. Other way would be perhaps stockpiling more of the things, not relying on just-in-time deliveries, because that increases vulnerability and so on. So in short, we need to do more in terms of investment and also in terms of working with the companies to tell them what the best risk practices are.